because if he didn't, he would burst. Chapter 2. Peter crouched over the offending floorboard and traced the ridge that rippled all the way down. Vola had said the boards were flat enough. He could begin sanding, but he wanted them perfect when she saw the floor finished, not just flat enough. He adjusted the wheel of the plane until the blade projected only enough to shave off veneers thin as paper. He could make a single thicker cut, but layer by layer would do a better job. Peter liked planing, maybe best of all the skills he'd learned building the cabin. The plane was a real muscle tool, not like a screwdriver, say. You used your whole body with a plane, a tool for a man, not a boy. He positioned it over the end of the board, wrapped his right hand over the knob, and eased his weight onto it, then began to guide the plane forward with his left. The 100-year-old yellow pine, salvaged from a neighbor's barn, sheared off in an even curl that smelled as crisp as fresh-cut wood. He liked how wood was always ready to start over, and how, suddenly, the plane stubbed up short against a knot. Peter's pushing hands shot off the knob and he skinned the pad of his palm. He fell back on his heels, cursing. When was he going to learn? That was how knots were, sneaky, hiding under the surface. As the blood welled up and began to trickle down his wrist, the phrase struck. Blood and sweat. He had dripped buckets of sweat all over this cabin. A little blood signature wouldn't be out of place. He pressed the cut to the board and watched a red flame leak out. The spreading stain looked like a fox's tail. Peter jerked his hand back, shocked at how hard the memory hit. Last year, on his journey back to the place where he had been forced to abandon his pet fox, Pax, he'd nicked his calf so he could smear a foxtail blood oath on his leg. "I will come back for you," it vowed. He pressed the wound to the center of his chest. Memories were so treacherous, always lurking under the surface, ready to bushwhack you with a blade to the heart when you weren't careful. He knew what he had to do to counteract this one. Kind of a penance he'd devised, actually. Every time he slipped up like this and thought about Pax, he made himself go through the same exercise. Best to do it right away. Peter closed his eyes. He visualized the afternoon when he'd found a dead vixen by the side of the road. He went over all his steps in detail, picking up her stiff, muddy body, carrying it away in search of a place to bury it, noticing the sandy spot beside a stone wall, and scraping out a shallow grave with his boot. Although his chest was tightening the way it always did at this part, he made himself remember finding the opening to the fox den. It hurt to breathe now, but he drew up the scene again. 3 dead kits, and 1 shivering survivor. He had reached in and lifted the live kit, a male, a little dog fox. He'd curled it snug against his chest, where it had filled a hollowness he hadn't known he was carrying. But now, for the penance. He spliced in a different scene, the thing his dad told him he should have done. It was meant to die with the rest of its family. The right thing to do would have been to make that be painless. Holding the kit, Peter had been outraged. "Too late," he'd cried, "and I'm keeping him." His father had been irritated, but in his expression, for the first time maybe, Peter had seen respect. Now he could see that his father had been right. He should have put Pax out of his misery and out of the pain he himself would cause them both 5 years later. He finished the penance. No reaching in. Instead, he imagined himself wresting off one of the heavy capstones from the top of the wall and dropping it over the entrance to the den, and then immediately walking away without ever looking back. Do it. Walk away. Don't look back. All that pain he would have avoided. Peter ran the sequence 2 more times. He'd read it took 3 times to reprogram your brain. The penance was working.